I'd recommend waiting just a minute more to see if we can resolve the difficulties so that she can be here for the full meeting.
Hi, Cecilia. Can you hear us now?
Yes, now I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay. Hello? Test, test. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Mm-mm-mm. Testing, testing.
Hi, Cecilia. Can you hear us?
I can hear you now, but can you hear me?
Okay, we still can't hear you. Give us just a few more minutes.
Okay.
Hi, Cecilia. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you. We will begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
All right, and I'll call to order this meeting of the Indio Public Art Commission on October 12th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Thomas Buck,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Bill Shinsky,
Here.
Commissioner EJ Newmeyer,
Here.
Commissioner Cecilia Cruz Sendejas,
Here.
Commissioner Vanessa Becerra.
Here.
Great, thank you. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Shinsky, would you mind leading us this time?
There's no longer in the White House. I'm ready. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And then we have, oh, I turned it off. Thank you very much. We have next is statement from Commission Secretary.
The general rules of courtesy for virtual meetings are as follows. Please be mindful of background noise when joining the virtual meeting. Participants must mute all live streaming devices to avoid playback when speaking. Meeting participants must mute their microphone to help keep background noise to a minimum when they are not speaking. When your microphone is not muted, avoid activities that could create additional noise. Position your camera properly. If you use a webcam, be sure it's in a stable position and focused at eye level if possible. If you will be sharing content during the meeting, make sure you have the files and/or links ready to go before the meeting begins. Members from the public wishing to make an oral testimony must follow the instructions on the agenda and/or online in order to provide public comment for agenda or non-agenda items. Members from the public wishing to provide oral testimony have 3 minutes to provide oral testimony.
Great, thank you very much. And agenda item number 4 is public comment for items not on the agenda. We do have one, and this is from Jonathan Becerra with the topic of compensation of local artists and best practices in artist/municipal contracts.
There it is. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jonathan Becerra. I'm a local organizer, also an event producer out here in the Eastern Coachella Valley. Born and raised in the city of Indio, very proud of what we do with the arts and the community we've built in the Eastern Coachella Valley. Bill Shinsky has been an anchor for a lot of the events we've done here, for a lot of growth in what we now can tap into in terms of making money from art. So I was at a art show last week in Palm Desert, and I was approached by multiple artists who were very much concerned with the fact that they had done work for the city of Indio in regards to painting of power boxes and had yet to be compensated, and were really distressed and upset. And it was really shocking to be part of that, just witnessing that, having these people come to someone they knew couldn't help them actively, but they were just so desperate for reassurance, for answers. So I really came to you guys today to really just express that we've worked really hard to patch together an economy out here for artists in the Eastern Coachella Valley, and Indio has been a significant part of that. So what happens here affects us all. I work right now, currently I'm working on producing next year's Women's March with the community, Synergy Fest. And we tap into very much the same pools of artists you guys use. So it's really incumbent on us as partners in this growth to really just pay them. I mean, I don't know how else to be polite about that. I apologize, but it's not a lot of money. And I know the work they've done is substantial and well done. And just an extension from that, just having heard that, diving into the past videos from the commissions, it seems to me that we're kind of at an impasse on how these people should be contractually obligated. My real suggestion, just having done these kinds of deals, used to work, the block party, done a lot of events where you kind of bring in these kind of artists to these kinds of projects. It's really just best to make it tight within that project. If it's temporary, temporary. If it's long-term, long-term. If you're commissioning particular art, commission it. But if it's something where you're just displaying a local artist, original art, we shouldn't be asking for anything beyond their time and energy, and nothing that prevents them from making more money from that original art still somewhere else. So I really believe that these are platforms, and they're very necessary platforms, but we just kind of got to tighten it up because, it's out there now that people are feeling this kind of way. And I know the Indio can do better. We will, but I think it's incumbent upon people like me kind of bringing it to you guys. So I really appreciate your time. I worked around a lot of you and I know you guys have the best interest at heart, but yeah, I really think this is important and for our community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Becerra. And that brings us to item number 5, which are minutes.
Chairperson Buck, we
Yeah.
have another request to
sorry.
speak via Zoom
Oh, great.
from Vanessa Rivera.
Fantastic.
I will bring her on now.
Hello.
Vanessa,
So, sorry.
you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So a little bit, hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me the time. My comment is regarding something that I have heard mentioned actually in past meetings on social media from people who were involved and from the speaker who was just before me, that artists who have previously had their work displayed on traffic signal boxes in the city, which I believe a continuation or a similar project to what is on the agenda today, have still not received payment for their work. I think also the discussion in terms of the language that's specifically in the contract, needs sorting out. So I just think all of that should be a priority. I want to see the city thrive and be able to have these projects and especially with local artists, but it just may be a future obstacle to find those local artists, as has kind of what alluded to submit for these kinds of projects if there's very recent evidence that shows that they may not be treated the best. But that was all. Like I said, I know it has been discussed and I hope you're moving forward with that. So I appreciate all of your time. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comments?
There are none.
All right, thank you so much. Now moving on to item number 5, which are minutes. We also have none. Moving on to item number 6, presentations. We have none. Moving on to item number 7, action items. We do have a really detailed one, which is recommendations to City Council regarding mural conservation assessment and cost estimates. So just to read the brief here, Evergreen Architectural Arts was retained by the city to conduct a comprehensive condition assessment of 11 publicly and privately owned murals within and around downtown Indio. In addition, Evergreen Architectural Arts analyzed and provided cost estimates for remedial conservation treatments for each of the murals. The commission will review the assessment and cost estimates and make one or more recommendations to the City Council regarding possible next steps, including but not limited to mural treatments and mural de-accession actions. And that's in our big info packet right here. So I don't know if everyone's had time to go through this or has questions about it. And I know, Kevin, thank you for organizing all of this and putting it together. So I don't know where the best place to begin would be. I know the recommendations are right here from staff.
If I could, maybe just a couple of comments from staff.
That'd be great.
First, thank you, Commission. This is an item that you're familiar with. You, as a commission, helped in the selection of the firm, and the firm, as noted in the staff report, did conduct condition assessment of all murals, provided their professional recommendations, and then subsequently also provided their range of costs of what the remedial treatment could look like, from kind of what I would call minor treatment actions to major treatment actions. And the goal of this effort is to really address the fact that we have a inventory of murals in around the downtown Indio. Not all are directly in downtown, some are adjacent, and they are in various stages of condition, and there is interest in, there has been interest expressed by the City Council and by commission in the past in terms of analyzing the condition of those murals and determining the next best course of action. So this was put on as an action item, not that you have to take action tonight, but in the event that you wanted to, that you could take action in terms of making a recommendation to the City Council. So you don't need to take action tonight. You could decide to hold this over to your next meeting if you wanted to discuss it further. But with the potential for action, I thought it best to put it under the action component. The real goal, as I see it, is to get the commission's feedback that ultimately, if you so choose, could be put forward in terms of recommendations to City Council. As mentioned in the staff report, some of the remedial cost treatments for some of the murals are quite high in terms of cost. The budgeting or the funding for remedial treatment actions would come out of the Art and Public Places Fund, which, as I mentioned in the staff report, has a balance, but that balance is somewhat encumbered because there are other actions going on, such as the Symbolic K art installation and the costs associated with that and other things. So there are what I did, and by no means was it intended to take away from any conversation, but to help in the conversation, I laid out some options for you to think about, or at least talk about, in terms of potential next steps that you might want to consider recommending to City Council. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but certainly this is a commission discussion and here to support it. Thank you.
I have thoughts, but I'll save mine. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts?
Well, I'd really like to spend more time looking at this document. I just received it and kind of perused it quickly, and you're right, Kevin, the numbers are outrageous. I mean, they're charging, for some of them, they're charging more than the original mural cost. And my first thought was, no, I can't accept that. So I would like more time to go through this, and some may deserve to be saved, and some, maybe they should all just die a natural death. I don't know. But I need more time.
Yeah, I'll follow Bill with that, in that I believe that they're really high costs, and I think we can see them deaccession, maybe start from new.
That's where I'm kind of leaning personally. If in the report, it specifically mentions the highest cost ones are murals number 1, 4, and 5, which have costs of $161,000, $128,000, and $111,000. That's a lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars on murals that their mural number 1 is from 1997, number 4 is from 1998, and number 5 is from 2000. So they're all over 20 years old. And I think it's just sort of time. They've had their time, and we can, in my opinion, move on to new things, which probably won't even cost that much to install a brand new, more relevant, more significant, and more visually pleasing mural than those ones right there. So I do personally like the idea of actually moving forward with something, but I definitely, would be leaning towards deaccession for quite a few of these. And so, I like the idea of recommending to council that if there are certain ones that the community has a lot of care for, that are in a reasonable cost, that we fix those, deaccession the rest, and then make the city beautiful with new artwork. That's where I'm leaning personally.
I just have a couple of comments. Yeah, the cost is quite extreme, considering that most of these went up for anywhere from half to a third of those. And like you talk about, especially the earlier murals, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., have outlived any expected time frame for any of these murals. I would make the case to at least explore saving the first one, if not being able to save it as is in its current form, is to either replicate it or to try to preserve it in some form, whether it's taking it all the way back to original condition, because it is the first mural. It is the one that spurred a lot of the public art thoughts here in downtown, and it does discuss specifically the history of the area. And like I said, it is the first mural that made it into any kind of public art here in Indio. Some of these others, I think, especially with the history of dates, I think we've repainted that one at least twice. So I think it's been painted a third time. And there's significant issues with the building that I don't think it's going to support repainting it another time. So that is something that we need to have a discussion. We do have a lot of residents that have a lot of strong feelings, because they've emailed me many times about trying to save some of these murals that are falling apart. So that's why we've gone this route. So I would be open to discussing lesser options for some of these, obviously deaccession for a few of them. Going forward, the number is staggeringly too high to do all of it, obviously. So I don't know if we would discuss having an ad hoc to see if anything is worth saving, or what? I know that council's going to have their own feelings on some of these murals as well. So that's it.
I agree. I think that this should be another, we should go into discussion with these murals. And I do actually like the idea of having some new and fresh murals going up as well. But I do agree as far as the cost. And, I'm not an expert, but some of them do look like they're very damaged. And it's interesting to hear that some of the buildings that might even be at issue as well. So definitely up for another discussion would be great.
Oh, no, I was just gonna, EJ mentioned that, there are a number of residents in Indio that have a strong connection to, I'm assuming probably the earlier murals. And this may be an opportunity for the commission to work with the community in raising the money to save them. The idea of taking that much money from the public art fund is staggering. But if the community wants to save the things they love, then the community should get involved and help save it financially as well. So that's why I think we need more time.
How would deaccessioning, let's say like the critical and poor pieces, and including those pieces, the history of transportation is included in that one. And then just starting some sort of forum with the community to rebuild the murals and seeking their input and what they want to see in those spaces.
Well, I think this is a case where the community should have a say of what they'd like to see saved, if anything. But if they want to see them saved, then they need to work with us in finding the funds to save them. They can't depend upon the public art fund.
But wouldn't the public art fund cover the murals? If we want to put up new murals, wouldn't our public art funds?
It depends. As mentioned in the staff report, several of the murals are on private property. So in order to be able to utilize public art and public places fund, we would need to have an agreement, which we did get agreement with some of the private property owners. We have not gotten agreements with all, but if they do enter into the agreement with the city, then at that point, there is the possible utilization of art and public places fund. If they don't enter into the agreement, then in essence, it is a private party matter. Now, I understand, obviously it's of interest to the public for certainly, but we don't have the legal authority to enter the property to make any changes to the mural, including removing it through painting or other efforts or repairing it. So we would have to obtain the other agreements. And then as the commission's aware, you recommended and the council adopted a deaccession policy. So we'd have to go through that formal deaccession policy, which includes a public hearing, both here and at council. So so there is a process for the deaccession as well. That's what I'm trying to say.
I just have one question. Listed here are 3 private properties that we did enter into a lease agreement, correct, for the murals. The 2 newer murals by Ponsler and by Garcia, those don't have leases intact anymore?
I have not found any leases for them, but if you are aware that there are leases, I will go back and look for them, but I have not.
There should have at least been one for the Garcia building because that was actually owned by the redevelopment agency by the city. And I don't know who currently owns that building if it was sold.
If it's former redevelopment property, it is still owned by the redevelopment agency sold to the city. So the city's in ownership of that. So any of the city-owned buildings are not.
I don't know if the city still owns that
Okay.
building though, so you'd have to check.
You don't happen to know the address off the top of your head?
No, it's right here on Smurf Street. And I don't know if Senator Melendez still has an
Great.
office. in
Okay,
it. Yeah,
great. I know exactly what you're talking
you
about.
probably go ask.
I didn't know the reference Garcia. My apologies.
It's okay. You could probably go ask Glenn Miller about that because I think he still works in that
I
building.
believe, I will double check, Commissioner, but I believe that is part of our inventory. So it would
Okay.
be a city-owned building.
Okay, so that one's not, then the other one I'm talking about is the Rebirth by Ponsler, which is on the side of the convenience store down here on Miles and King, which I thought at one point we had entered into a lease agreement with the owner of that building.
I will look for that. I have not
Okay.
run across that, but I have not exhaustively gone through all the files.
Because it was one of the newer murals commissioned by the Art Commission as opposed to private business beforehand.
Okay, so I will look for that and follow up with the commission.
when it comes to like the traffic signal boxes and murals and stuff, the funds to pay those artists, whatever ends up being decided, that comes from the public arts fund. correct?
Currently, the only funding for a public arts program in the city is through the Arts and Public Places Fund, which is paid for out of fees related to development.
Okay, so in the future, if we come up with something for, traffic signals, the more money we have in the arts fund, the more money we can pay to artists to create art, correct?
Correct. So any programmatic projects are currently funded out of the Art and Public Places Fund. So whether it be the mural program, the traffic signal box program, or any other, that is the only current funding source that would pay for all of that.
Okay, and then we do have a request to speak on this topic from Jonathan Becerra.
Sorry, guys. I'll just be really short because I think you guys, I very much agree with what the direction you guys are going. The city is desperately thirsting for new art, new vision. Can very much appreciate people wanting to preserve older murals, but I don't think public art is meant to be static. This is the conversation we have with each other as a community visually. It's very important. That kind of communication we can't facilitate in these kind of formal settings. That's how we facilitate it with each other out there. So bringing fresh new ideas, new modes of old ideas, I think is crucial to what your guys' tenants should be for this community, and very much in support of you guys doing more of that. So looking for community input, more murals, more different murals, and just personally that history of date one, man, if it can just at least be cleaned off soon, it's hard to look at coming up and down miles. So no offense to the artist who did it, I'm sure it was beautiful, but yeah, a lot of these pieces need some love or some scraping. So appreciate you guys' time with us. Thank you.
I think the date mural is an example. If I'm not mistaken, that building is privately owned, correct?
Correct. And we have had difficulty trying to reach the owner and even in reaching an agreement to do that. And I knew that we've had it repainted at least twice in my time here. So yeah, it's just not, the building will not support the paint,
No.
unfortunately. Yeah.
So, it looks to me like the privately owned buildings, those that do not want to sign an agreement with the city, are assisting us in telling us which ones to get rid of or not to do anything with at all. If they don't want to sign an agreement, then the mural will die a natural death. Slowly, unfortunately for some, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're probably not ready to bring this to a vote yet, but I think it was Commissioner Newmeyer mentioned an ad hoc committee might be a good idea to get just a list of these are the murals. I know Commissioner Becerra mentioned maybe even some sort of ranking thing of the poor and critical ones, just deaccession those and focus on the other ones. So what does everyone think is the best way to go forward most effectively? You can do an ad hoc, you can do.
Well, I think an ad hoc would be appropriate.
I think
I
so.
mean, we could get a lot of work done that way. The previous ad hoc committee did. Instead of waiting month that, every month, we could do something in the meantime.
Yeah, an ad hoc is two commissioners.
That is correct.
Okay. And if I remember right, I think we basically just do a consensus on forming one and then we take volunteers.
That is correct. You can solicit volunteers, and by the consensus of the commission, and then that ad hoc committee, those two members are able to work between, as the vice chair said, between meetings, and be able to bring back either information, thoughts, ideas, and then as you as a group can consider that in terms of your next steps, including developing a recommendation to council.
Okay. Do we have any volunteers who would like to serve on
I'd
that?
like to volunteer.
Commissioners Shinsky and Newmeyer?
Shinsky and Newmeyer.
Do we have a consensus for that? Do we have objections for that?
If we can come up with something by the next meeting, then yeah, so it doesn't prolong any decisions.
Yeah,
Get to city council.
Here.
No, they've meeting.
Commissioner
This is-
Cruz was saying something.
Oh, I just said no objection here.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be the goal, is to do an ad hoc committee, and then the committee is able to work together so that way at our next commission meeting in November, we have clear guidance on something that we can bring to council.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
Are we able to do a survey of any kind, generate a survey real quick that we can do either online or submitted anyway?
So my department does have access to SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
So, but if you could give me some context as to what
Sure.
you're thinking, Commissioner.
Either comments. Most people don't either know or participate in the Public Art Commission comments, but I do know that we get a lot of other people that are commenting on the status of public art and the murals specifically. I'm just wondering if we can put out a little blurb asking for comment on the murals, save, don't save, et cetera. I'd have to put more thought to it.
Well, and might I suggest that maybe yourself and the vice chair, as part of the ad hoc committee, could identify potential questions, and then I can work with you to develop something that can go out on a SurveyMonkey format.
Okay.
Would that work?
Sure.
Okay.
Is there anything else, any other comments, any other thoughts on item 7.1 before we kind of put a pin in it till our next meeting? Right, then we can move on to, if I can find it, section 8, which would be staff items, and we actually have quite a few, starting with 8.1 Sarbala K installation update.
Okay, I did previously send out to the commission the installation schedule provided by Golden Voice. Sent that email to you on September 22nd. And probably a couple of important dates to keep in mind is that October 17th is the transport date. So that is the date that in talking with the representative for Golden Voice, there will be 8 trucks with a total of 26 pieces. They have been refreshing the art. So since it's been sitting for a while now, they actually just repainted it with the approval of the artist. And so on October 17th, there will be a transport action from the Polo Club to Dr. Carrion Park. That will require traffic control. That will require police assistance. So that's all been coordinated. And we've also finalized and obtained all necessary building permits. Since this will be a 10-year installation, we want to make sure that they are attached appropriately. So we are pouring in place foundations for them. So if you went to Coachella when they were there, they were tied down, but they were not installed into the ground. Because they're going to be in a public park and are going to be there for a significant period of time, we are going through the effort to actually anchor them into a concrete foundation. So it will be a more permanent situation than you might have experienced if you saw them at Coachella. And then following the installation, then there will be continued work to refine. And the goal right now is that by the end of October, around October 29th, 30th, the installation by Golden Voice would be complete. With that, there is follow-up activity that needs to be done around landscaping and lighting. So we are working with a landscape architect. These are the drawings, and I would be happy to send them out to you. But they are about 95% complete, the bid drawings. And the designer is the Herman Design Group. So these will go out to bid and following our public bidding process. And then we will get obviously responses back, determine if the lowest responsible bidder meets all necessary requirements, and then that would be bidded action. However, there is likely to be a period of time between the installation and this landscaping and lighting installation. So the art installation and the landscaping and lighting installation. So we may have a situation where we may want to temporarily secure the art so that it doesn't become too attractive. So we're looking at different opportunities to do that, potentially installing some temporary construction fencing around it just to manage the art pieces before this final work is done. One additional thing that I'm looking into right now is also the potential for adding security cameras. Again, it's going to be in a very public space. It's going to be there for a period of time. So it may be good to have security cameras. In working with Golden Voice and with the permission of the artist, we will be looking to enclose the majority of the art pieces. So if you went to Coachella, you could walk into the art piece, but in recognition that this is a different setting and to not encourage that to become a place where people look to hang out longer than they should, the majority of the art pieces will be enclosed with door access to get inside as necessary. Some of the smaller pieces won't have that, but the larger pieces will. And that's, again, intended to reduce the potential for human use of the art. So again, that's been coordinated with the artist. He's approved of that through Golden Voice and has acknowledged the need for that in this particular setting. Unfortunately, the artist is in Europe right now. He won't be available to be at the installation, but he's working in close coordination with Golden Voice representatives. I think that's all. Happy to answer any questions, but it's exciting to see this moving forward. We will be videoing the transport and the installation, so we will have a kind of a videography of this, since it's a major art installation, with the goal of being able to share that publicly for those that we expect some folks will show up to watch. Normal curiosity, but for those that aren't able to or don't want to, there will be a time when we will post that on the city website, so members of the public can kind of watch the progression of the installation.
Well, I would certainly hope that the local TV people are going to be out there.
We have made them aware, as long as they stay at a respectable distance, not a problem. So and the Golden Voice folks are just they'll set it up so that it's visible, but obviously they're going to have their area of work, and that will be controlled during the installation. But we do anticipate that probably this will elicit interest from the news media.
If protective fencing is put around, I'm assuming it would be that opaque screening.
So typically for temporary construction fencing, it's typically chain link fencing that's secured in place. So it'd be visible unless there was in some instances, if you've probably seen travel down Highway 111, there is fabric installed. I think in this instance, we wouldn't necessarily put fabric in because we'd still like it to be visible. Obviously, some are going to be very tall to be visible by themselves. But I think it's just a matter of trying to keep people out of that space until it's fully ready.
Are there any plans to have a didactic text or some sort of signage up for the public to read to see what is going on here? Oftentimes, there's no explanation of what is going on behind that fence. I think it would be beneficial to the city, to the public, to the Arts Commission, if there was an explanation of what is happening here.
Right. It's like kind of a version of a coming soon banner.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a plan to have a banner. I'm working on the language with our marketing communications director on that. And then we do want to have some sort of I guess for lack of words, semi-permanent sign that would be there that would describe the artist, the artwork, what its meaning, so that folks could be able to read that. Trying to figure out the best way to do that, whether that should be in a plaque form or some other way. So that hasn't been figured out yet, and probably we'll come back and talk with the commission about your ideas on that as well. But for the purposes of what the vice chair just said, the what I call the coming soon banner, yes.
Yeah.
For the security cameras, you mentioned that they're just there during the construction and the installation?
No, actually, the thought at this time is that they would actually be permanent. So during that it would be a way to help manage security of the art over the long term. So we're investigating that with our facilities folks right now to see what is available technology. The technology has gotten to the point where it's wireless technology now. It can be available if, unfortunately, something does happen. It is a way to record who the potential offender might be as well. But this would be, so there's two phases of recording. One is the kind of the videography of the installation and the initial installation leading up to the end of October. And then the long-term security would be installing video cameras that would monitor the property, since we won't always have a police or other physical presence, and that would be there permanently during the installation period.
So the security cameras would be in a public space?
Right. So the thought, and again, this is all very preliminary, but the thought is that we will have lighting out there. And the thought would be to attach them to the lighting. There'll be pole lighting, and they would be out there along with some sort of signage alerting folks that they are on video camera and discouraging any nefarious acts.
Is there anywhere else that we have security cameras on our public parks or public?
We do.
spaces?
Some of our other public space buildings, we do have them. And I know that this is being looked at also for some of our parks as a way to enhance security at parks.
Thank you.
Any other questions about Symbolic? Cool. Thanks so much for that update. And now item 8.2 is traffic signal box update.
Yes, so a couple of things on this. So as the commission's aware, you on July 13th made a recommendation to City Council. So at the direction of the city manager, I will be bringing forward that recommendation in the near future to the City Council. I will alert the planning commission. I have too many commissions in my head. The Arts Commission of when that's going to council. So if you are interested and or want to participate if in that conversation, but the intent is to present what you recommended to the council and see what the council's thoughts on that are. If I could, I do want to note that the payment to the artists. So that's a very fair concern. We are addressing it. Unfortunately, I had understood that those payments were being processed, but that was wrong. So I have I reached out to both artists. I've made contact with one of them today. They are providing we just need some additional information to process their payment. I'm hopeful that I'll hear from the other artist, and then we will expedite those payments so that they are appropriately paid, and apologies to the artists. That is not our intent. They should have been paid in a timely fashion. So my apologies to both of them, and hopefully I will hear back from the second one soon, and we will be able to get both those payments done in very quick order. And then on the issues of the concerns about the contract, I just want to note that while we can't discuss it this evening, with the approval of the chair, I would recommend that this be brought back on November 9th for discussion. At that time, the city attorney is available and she can present and answer questions and engage in a dialogue with the commission on her viewpoints and recommendations as the city's legal counsel. She is available and she does plan to attend in person. So if the commission would be okay with November 9th, we'll get that agendized and have that discussion and then see where we go from there. And then I'm right now, I think I'm going to likely look at November 17th as bringing the commission's recommendations to council on the traffic signal boxes. But I will confirm that with the commission as soon as I have confirmed that with the city manager's office.
Great. Any questions, clarifications? All right, then we can go to 8.3. I haven't talked about this in a while, but Miles Avenue Bridge art project update.
Yes, so as the commission is well aware, the Miles Avenue Bridge art project has been been around for a while. Let's put it that way. And we have a total of 14 pieces on the bridge. There's a total of 42 pilasters at the bridge, and 14 of those are occupied by artwork. And as I'm sure all of you are aware, but for the benefit of refreshing the commission's memory and the public, this project was a student and youth oriented project where student and youth were encouraged to submit conceptual designs. And then those were provided to fabricators who in essence turned them into metal that was ultimately installed on the bridge. So again, we have 14 currently installed. We need to fill out the remaining pilasters. Going back to the program, there appear to be two main fabricators that the city used in the past. So to move this project along, and we do have all the designs that came to the commission previously in 2019 and went to city council, and this was at the end of 2019. I have made contact with one of the two fabricators. I'm still waiting to hear back from the other one to see if they are interested in giving us bids for the design and the fabrication of these art pieces. And then similar to the last time, once we have secured the bids, then if they are within the city manager signing authority, we can do it at the city manager level. If they exceed the city manager signing authority, it has to go to council for bid award, because this is specialized, we are able to kind of, in essence, do a more focused bidding effort. But the goal is really to get this project done. It's been hanging around for a long time. I saw in reading back through the file, I saw a lot of names. I'm looking at the vice chair and Commissioner Newmeyer. You guys have been around for a while and you saw these projects. So the goal is to get it done. And also we know that some of the youth who participated in this are getting older and would be nice to see their art up there. So the goal is to get this project done as quickly as we can, get it out there. So I will keep you updated as this project moves forward, and see if we can hopefully get this done in short order and we can cross the line through this project in terms of being complete. And apologies to the youth and the parents and the community on this one, but I think we have a way to hopefully get this fast tracked and to the finish line.
Yeah, that would be great. The only question I have, which is an issue that has been brought up in the past, and I would not want to do anything to put in any kind of delay, but it was about the condition of the bridge needing some maintenance before new pieces were installed. That was a concern that had been raised in previous meetings.
Yeah, and I actually went out and walked the bridge and actually confirmed all the pilasters just to make sure. You know, there are parts of the bridge, and I'm not an engineer by any means, but there are parts of the bridge that, you know, probably need some power washing. But all in all, given the exposure that the bridge experiences, I don't think it's in that bad of shape. But I will talk to the city engineer and the public works director in terms of their plans for bridge maintenance and share those with the commission. But I don't think it detracts from the installation of the artwork. All the pilasters are clean and neat. There's no cracks. There's nothing that would impair the installation of the fabricated metal. So I think for the art itself, and then you know, with any public asset, you know, it's more about maintenance than anything else right now. But I will definitely follow up on that.
Great, thanks. Yeah, my concern was really more of if the bridge did need big maintenance and we installed art and then they maintained the bridge and then it damaged the art after it had been installed, but it doesn't sound like that.
No, in fact, you know, one of the things that obviously if there's any maintenance work done that anyway, they would have to protect those art pieces, right? And so I'm just making this up. If they were power washing the bridge, for lack of a better word, they would have to protect those art pieces to minimize damage. So typically, what I've seen in other places is they would cover it with a protective covering during the cleaning effort.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to double check.
I think one of the last discussions we had about that was more or less the different colors of paint that they were worried about. You know, they were only prepared to go out with one color as opposed to the cap is a different color than the white on the pit. You know, so I think that just had to be clear. Plus the rail, I think, matches the cap on the pilasters. So I know that was one of the discussions was paint for over vandalism when we last talked about it. And then as far as moving forward with the fabricators, I just want to make sure that that they're using a template for the anchor bolt install. I know that we had an issue with one of our fabricators in the past, just locating the anchors wherever and they didn't line up, and it becomes an issue when it comes to install with the epoxy onto the bridge. And then I think if you're talking to two of our longstanding fabricators, that they've worked with templates in the past.
They have. In fact, I worked with our public works team to put together the design specs, and they reviewed all of them, and including the requirement for a template and with bolt placement. So they did sign off on them. So and they will be part of the evaluation of when we get the templates, because the artists will provide the templates. So they will review them. The fabricators will provide the templates. So we will review them before any sort of finalization. So yes, it's a good point. And hopefully with the input of our public works team who will be doing the installation, we'll get it right the first time.
That would be wonderful. Any other questions, thoughts on Miles Avenue Bridge? All right, then item 8.4, which is the public arts program.
Okay, so as the commission is aware, we currently do not have a public arts management analyst. The previous occupant of that has moved on. And so right now I'm working with the city manager to evaluate next steps. But in the short term, what we would like to do is to bring back an individual who has worked with the commission in the past and has worked in public arts. I think some of you know her, Jennifer Henning. And the goal of Jennifer's assistance, which will be on a contract basis, part-time contract contract basis. It's just to keep these projects moving forward, because unfortunately with my other obligations I can't always be working on these every day. So her focus would be to make sure that things get done and get done in a timely fashion. So I'm working with Jennifer right now to finalize a contract, and it would be an as-needed contract. For those that don't know Jennifer, she has previously worked with the city. She is an artist as well, and she also has done similar work for the city of Palm Springs. So this would just be to help make sure that none of these projects get slowed down unnecessarily, and that the work efforts and of the commission are realized in a timely fashion. So once Jennifer's on board officially, then obviously we'll have her participate as needed in conversations with the commission, but really to kind of be the person that focuses on getting the work done. And I guess the only other point about the program is a major goal right now, obviously, is to get some of these projects done that have been lingering. I know that's been an interest of the commission. And then moving forward, you did make recommendations on the strategic plan. That is an item that does need to be brought forward to City Council. So that would be looking to bring that to Council in the near future. I don't have an exact date yet right now, but I will obviously advise the Commission of that as well. And then if there's any other items that come up that the Commission is interested in, we will certainly look at that relative to your strategic plan, as well as kind of the resource allocation of the staff support to be able to accomplish those. So it's kind of a quick summary of where we're at. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, so the strategic plan, from when we had last brought it up, we did have consensus to move forward and sending that to council along with the work plan, right?
Right.
Is that still attached as is?
Yes,
Right.
so no changes will be made unless the commission wanted to bring it back for some reason, but the plan is to take it forward as you recommended to council.
Okay.
And then, if the commission wants to, for example, if the commission wanted the chairperson to be at the meeting to speak to it as an example, we can certainly coordinate that if that's something that the commission felt was beneficial to hear from the chair and or the vice chair, or if whoever you thought was appropriate to speak to it.
Any other questions on 8.4 comments?
And Chair, I just want to say one other thing. I did forget to mention, I want to thank the Vice Chair. Last week, the council did proclaim October as National Arts and Humanity Month. And as part of the work program, we do try to make sure that we recognize this. This month, just because of resourcing, we won't be able to maybe do as much as we would like to in terms of robustness, but the goal would be to have some sort of recognition, and we would work with the commission to determine what that would be and the level of involvement of the commission. This year, I just got the proclamation in front of the council, so it was proclaimed, and thank you to the vice chair for being there to receive it. And then in the future, we will make sure that we plan accordingly so that there's an opportunity to plan some sort of activity to make the public aware and to celebrate this month in the future.
That's great. Thank you. And just also, Kevin, thank you so much. I know you have a lot of plates, and it's really nice to see progress on so many fronts. And it's just nice to see wheels in motion. So I appreciate all the extra effort, because I can't imagine how long. I just don't know. It's a lot of plates. So thank you for spinning all those plates. That brings us to item number 9, which are commissioner items. If anyone has anything that they would like to share or bring forward.
Well, you may know the Coachella Valley Arts Center because of the COVID pandemic started an exterior exhibition program on the side of the building. And it's an ongoing program called Artists Comment. And what I do is I find artists and offer them, right now I'm offering them a 5-foot high by 10-foot wide piece of vinyl with grommets, and they can do to it whatever they want, whatever their comment is, and then we will install it on the side of the building. So I should be having 6 new pieces installed next week. I've got a painter, I've got a digital person, 2 painters, 3 painters, and the Indio Rotary Club every year gives the 3rd grade students in the schools in Indio dictionaries. And my school that I was responsible for was Theodore Roosevelt School. And I thought, well, you know, it's nice we give them dictionaries, but if I was a 3rd grader, I'd say, oh, yeah, what the hell is this? What do I want with a dictionary? So my challenge to the principal was that the 3rd graders who get the dictionary, I gave them a banner and a ton of good markers. And those children that are using the dictionaries can go use the first letter of their first name or the first letter of their last name and go to that section of the dictionary and find a word that they liked. A new word, an old word, whether it was a word that they liked the way it looked, sounded, or the meaning of the word. And on the banner, they were to put the word, their name, and then they can be creative around it, whatever they wanted to do. So Theodore Roosevelt School agreed to do that. So that will be one of the banners in the artist comment exhibition. So hopefully we can get them installed by next week. So be on the lookout because they'll be there 24/7.
That's really cool. Are there going to be more banners, or is that the total run of them?
Well, they'll be there through November. And then in December, I have one person that's taking the entire wall. And he's a photographer. And the reason I'm giving him the entire wall with banners is because he uses the camera as part of his therapy for his bipolar disorder. And then after that, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but this will be an ongoing project.
That's really cool. Anything else happening?
Yeah, so this weekend, October 15th and 16th is ECV Pride, so Eastern Coachella Valley Pride. On the 15th, there'll be a virtual film festival, and on the 16th from 1 to 5, there will be a caravan and a picnic. So if you're interested in joining, anybody's welcomed. You can register at ECV Pride on their Instagram or Facebook page.
Right.
And it's free.
Yay.
Everything's free.
What's the best price? Any other commissioner items to bring up tonight? Commissioner Cruz, are you good? Over in Zoom land?
Actually, I did want to mention one thing. So there is myself and another artist in the community have opened what we call a Hartistic Healing Center. And where it's a holistic approach to merge art and meditation, breath work. We are doing different workshops for the community. Some are going to be free, some there are going to be a fee, but the idea was to combine both just a holistic approach, the meditation and art together. It's not art therapy, it's different. It's more of like a free-flowing type of thing. So right now we are offering for men and women, and hopefully in the future we'll do more youth projects, but that's something new that's here in Indio. If you're familiar with where Everbloom is, we're in that same area. We're just on the 2nd floor. So just keep a lookout for upcoming events. Will be coming out soon.
Great, thank you so much. That's really great. If there's nothing else, then the next item is adjournment. So we would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:34. Sorry, 6:34.
So long as it's 6:34, I second.
Chairperson Beck,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Shinsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Newmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Becerra,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz Semejas.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, then our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.